Coulson is here to do our presentation today, and he is doing it on the Eureka clock. And we appreciate his presentation for us, and take it over, Jim.
All righty, thank you.
Yes, there you go.
We're glad you're here.
I'm glad to hear too. It's been a while and I really enjoyed this chapter. Okay, we're gonna talk about the Eureka clock. Just to warn you ahead of time, I've got to give Bob the finger, so he changes the next slide. So I'm gonna give him a thumb instead, I think.
Great.
All righty. Number 2. Okay, it's about the Eureka electric clock. This is the clock that's here today. Most of the detailed photographs are from that movement. And you may remember it was being at the regional where we had the unusual clocks this last time around. I purchased it at an NAWCC regional, and as I recall, it was $50. And it was a jumble of parts in a box, but the movement seemed okay, and the 5 glasses, bevel glasses, are still fine, so I bought it. I could get used to doing that. Okay, once I got it, it's out on my workbench for 40 years. And like a lot of us say, I'll get around to it. I'm sure everybody has situations like that where you do it when you get around to it. Well, I got around to it. My sister gave me this a long time ago. And I was in the shop last year and I looked up and there it was. So I said, okay, I got around to it, so I got to finish the Eureka. Been a lot of fun. It's a heck of an interesting plot. And this is a catalog of the clock. The Eurekas were all made in England. The clock I bought is Model 5. That's the one shown here in the catalog. Originally, it was 5.5 pounds in England, now in 1910, which is now $1,100 here in the United States. This is a dial, and it's proud to say it was made in London and it'll run 3 years. That's a lot for a battery clock. And the mechanical, electrical, and aesthetic characteristics are very distinctive. Really, aren't any other clocks like it. The main attraction is the balance wheel, and you probably see it running there now. It's designed for a slow 1 1/3 second oscillation in each direction. So it's fairly slow by balance wheel theory. Concept was invented by Tmothy Powers in 1906. And at that time, it was the first clock using an electrically maintained balance wheel to keep time. The 1910 census listed Mr. Powers as a self-employed inventor. And he had a lot of inventions. Here's some interesting ones. The surgeon's operating table, screwdriver with interchangeable blades, turn signal for cars, and folding chairs. A lot of us kind of sound familiar, don't they? And in 1910, he was awarded the John Scott Medal. Other recipients are Madame Curie, Thomas Edison, Johannes Salk, and the Wright brothers. So this is a pretty big deal. The award started in 1822 and continues today. It was given to the most deserving man or woman whose inventions have contributed to the comfort, welfare, and happiness of mankind. And it was issued by the Board of Directors of the City Trust of Philadelphia. He named his clock the Eureka, and that comes from the Greek word Eureka, it has an H, which means I found it. And this movement is very complex, and it probably took considerable trial and error to protect them. It took a lot of it. When we get into the movement, you'll see how different it is. When he finally got it to work, he probably exclaimed, Eureka! And realized that's probably a pretty good name for the clock. So that's what it is today. In 1907, he received Eureka patents in both the United States and England. And he also has patents in at least 10 other countries. Production funding was proposed by the Hutnow Brothers of London to produce the movement. He couldn't find anybody in the United States who was even halfway interested. He couldn't find the funding here, so he moved to London in 1908 to produce the Eureka clocks. Hutnow was kind of an interesting company. Their main attraction was this powder. And as you can see, it would cure anything. From indigestion to kidney problems to neuralgia, whatever. He distributed these, and based on the plethora of cures, the powders looked pretty doggone like a scam to me. I don't think it probably came up
I
to.
don't know, I think if you got a case of that, we could sell them right here.
Probably. Yeah. I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but I had a question. Let's sing out and I'll answer it as we're going through. That's probably a little easier. But anyway, he liked bizarre things, and the Eureka kind of fits that category, I think. They were marketed in London from 1909 to 1914, only 5 years. The movements were made to very high standards, which prized it out of the market for most people. It cost 3 weeks' salary for the average working person. In 1914, World War I was looming, and Eureka decided that they would voluntarily liquidate and go out of business. I'm sure a lot of their workers working in the war. Well, less than 10,000 ever made. Pretty doggone rare clock. When you compare that to companies in this country, Seth Thomas produced 1.5 million #2 regulators. Eurekas are very rare, not counting the Mid-South regional. Has anybody seen another one anywhere? I don't see a lot of hands going up. Okay, there are two basic types. Movement below the dial has a movement behind the dial. This is the behind the dial one here. I think the movement above and below is a little better because you can see it, and it's just a nicer clock, I think, but you take what you can get. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I was putting this together, the clock I just showed you was on eBay for $19,750. They weren't noted at all for timekeeping. In fact, they were very poor timekeepers. The batteries that they were using at that time couldn't maintain the constant voltage at all. They were all up and down. It runs on a 1.5 to 3 volt battery. And they've been replaced by a Eureka battery about 10 years ago, which is a darn good battery. This basically solved the problems after it was only 100 years too late. But this is what the battery holder under the clock looks like, and it's the same thing here. I couldn't find the big 1 volt battery, so this was running on 2 dry cells in series, so it's running on 3 volts. And it's pretty happy with 3 volts, as you can tell. Even with a new battery, Eureka was a very poor timekeeper. Brian Mumford, inventor of the microset clock and watch timer. I'm sure some of you have that. If you've done much repair work, you probably do. He used it to analyze Eureka, came up with a lot of interesting things. He found that there were continuous small changes in the angular excursion of the balance wheel. That area kind of amounts to about 2 minutes a day, which is quite a bit. He also found that as the minute hand goes from 12 to 6 to 12, it slows down. From 12 to 6, it speeds up. He was evidently more concerned about aesthetics than timekeeping. Okay, let's talk about the mechanisms. Very different from any other electric clock. And in 1948, there was a publication in Electric Clocks, and J.S. Wise had an article, and he made the statement that three previous descriptions by professional horologists were completely erroneous. I couldn't figure out how it worked. It has an oppressive, when we're done here, you can come up, I'll take the top off and look at it carefully, and you'll see the things that I'm talking about here. Has a really nice balance wheel, and that's basically the center of attraction. The back plate is Damascene, and it has the patent date 14614, and that's an English patent. And the patent was in 1906, and this is number 2343. So he applied for the English patent in 14614 in 1906. It was patented, it was granted in 1907, and he had patents in at least 10 other countries. Okay, the end of each end of the balance wheel arbor rests on two ball bearings. This is very unique. As the balance wheel rotates, it has a lot less friction, and it really don't need to oil it. It just works beautifully. And having the visible ball bearings in the back, as you come up, you can watch them move. Really makes it more interesting. So most watches and clocks either have a spring or a weight. This one has the electronic magnet. It's an electromagnetic balance wheel. And the core is tightly wound with copper wire. And this demonstrates the incredible craftsmanship throughout. It's just a beautifully made clock. The balance wheel has 10 screws, big ones, 2 small ones, and balance spring. And again, that's basically the same as a watch or a clock. There's a steel plate underneath the balance wheel. Turn this thing on. Okay, the steel plate runs all the way between the two posts, and it's one pole of the battery. And the other pole is connected to a flag. This flag here isn't connected to anything now, but as the balance wheel rotates, this pin goes through the flag instantaneously. So the battery is only being used for an instant each time the balance wheel rotates. And on each excursion, the pin and the balance wheel are, this is again the pin and the flag, and they're instantaneously in contact for a very short period of time. And the pin is split vertically, half is a conductor and the other half is steel. And that way it keeps the clock running. If it activated the electromagnet going both ways, it stopped the clock, obviously. And this shows on the downswing, on the left picture here, the non-conducting part of the little pin touches the flag and nothing happens. But on the upswing, it comes up the other side of the flag and makes a contact with the pin. And that's when it gives the electromagnet a good kick. Here, the balance wheel has just passed, well, here it's on the pin, isn't it? Yeah, the pin and the balance wheel are touching. That's when it gets an instantaneous magnetized balance wheel. And that draws the balance wheel down further to be closer to the base plate. In this picture, the core has just lost its magnification and is oscillating at a maximum speed as it approaches the bottom. And there's a very small gap between the balance wheel and the plate right here. And that's designed to be 1/1000th of an inch. And that maximizes the amount of magnification. It also shows you the extreme care that went into this construction of this thing. It's just beautifully made. Then it has a balance spring, same as a watch or some clocks, and it limits the excursion of both directions. And the balance wheel, this is another really cool thing. The circle that contains the screws doesn't connect to the core. And down at the bottom, it's open on the other side. And this is made of the top is made of brass, the bottom is made of steel. So as the core increases in length, since brass, the coefficient of thermal expansion is greater, this bends down as that goes up, and that compensates for temperature. Never seen anything like it before. Okay, the arbor for the balance wheel goes through here. No, that's it right there. And it comes out, but there's a offset part in the middle, and the offset touches a roller. You'll see better in the next picture. So the roller goes back and forth as the balance wheel goes around because of this offset. Another very unique characteristic. And there you can see it. I'll do it 2 or 3 times. You can see how it's, I should have had a longer.
Why not?
Yeah. This is the roller we were talking about, and it bounces back and forth on that offset. And then there's a pin here that's connected to a bar and another bar that goes down to this little hole at the bottom. So let's see how that works. There's a little hole. Okay, you can see, now you're cooking. Okay. This little pawl, each time the balance wheel moves, you've got it. Each time the balance wheel moves, and that eccentric part on the arbor for the balance wheel causes the roller to move, and that bar goes back and forth. Okay. And that in turn goes through the motion work to make the hands move. Okay. It's amazing. It only took 40 years to make the Eureka work for a living. And that's it. Any questions?
Is that where each time it beats through there, is that 1.3 seconds?
Mhm. Okay, I'm going to take the top off, and I invite you to come up and look at it closely. And please just don't touch anything. You might take your finger off, I don't know. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Here we had a question, yeah.
Okay,
Will the balance automatically start on its own? when
no,
you Hook the balance or hook up the power up, or you have to actually,
you have to do it, but
okay,
when it stops, the core is going to be almost vertical. And if you move it only 10 or 15 degrees, then it'll start picking up. And within, 10 seconds or so, it's up to the full. Now, most of these, when you look at the instructions, it's supposed to rotate 360 degrees. And this one's more like 420, 450. It's just really a healthy movement. I don't know why the difference, but
The power.
yeah, it's got 2 D cells, which are as good as the 1.5 volts are gonna get, I guess. Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Did you say it wasn't very accurate?
Sure. Within 2 minutes a day.
Don't know why.
The balance wheel rotation isn't constant. It varies a little bit all the time. And then this business of the hands slowing it down and speeding it up, that adds to the accuracy as well, so. And that's one of the reasons they didn't sell any, I'm sure. It had a pretty poor reputation.
yeah,
Anybody else have any questions?
All right.
Any other questions? From anybody? I guess everybody come up and take a look. Anybody got anything else anybody needs to add for today at all?